Darren Henry.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. High streets are absolutely essential to our towns. They act as social hubs for our communities and attract people to areas, resulting in money being spent on our local economies. We have all seen high street decline across the UK over the last decade. This we must put down to multiple factors such as shopping online, energy costs and the pandemic. All of these things and more have meant that high streets are becoming emptier and towns are the worse for it. Businesses on our high streets were put under huge strain during COVID. We saw large amounts of ingenuity from many who had to adapt and change business models to survive. I saw many local businesses start delivery services where they were not in place before. Others created new products that had not existed, and in many ways people adapted to a brand new situation to keep their businesses alive. Although many were also supported by government grants, and I was incredibly grateful that support was put in place and received by many businesses throughout Broxtowe who may not be running today without it. We have seen the loss of vital services from many of our high streets. In Stapleford, we discovered that we were losing our banking services, and a constituent in 2019 spoke to me on the street to ask what could be done. This would have been a huge loss to our town. Online banking can be great, but it is not for everyone, and it is so important that physical banking services exist in our communities. After discovering this, I got to work to ensure banking services would be available in our high street. Finally, I managed to find Cash Access UK, who have now opened a new banking hub where customers of major banks and building societies can carry out their regular cash transactions. This was a win. But other local services will also disappear if we do not look after our high streets. In my constituency of Broxtowe, there are many high streets with a huge variety of chain stores and independent businesses. In 2021, Stapleford in my constituency, following a period of lobbying, the government received £21.1 million as part of a towns deal. The main road, the Derby Road it's called, in Stapleford, has benefited already hugely from this funding. Independent shops such as Rowell's received some of this funding in order to renovate parts of their business. They have been in the town for 126 years, and I had the honour of taking Chris and Donna, the owners of Rowell's, to number 10 to thank them for what they do for Stapleford. Bake Me a Wish opened last year. They are a local business who began baking within their home in Chilwell during the COVID-19 pandemic. Following COVID, Bake Me a Wish chose to open their shop selling delicious cakes and pastries. Indeed, I recommend their honey layered cake. And they now have moved into an up-and-coming Stapleford town centre with footfall rising and a lot less empty shops than we used to have. So that's the help the town deal has made. In another part of my constituency, Beeston, there are many other small independent businesses who have served the community for far longer than I have been around. Fred Hallam's in Beeston has been present on the high road since 1908. I've previously taken the now Prime Minister to Fred Hallam's grocery and fishmongers to show him the value they bring to our local town and why it's so important that businesses such as theirs have the government support. Another local business on the high road the Prime Minister had the privilege of visiting was Haven. Haven is a hair salon started by my constituent Colette. Haven is not only an important fixture of the town, but also provides apprenticeships for young people. Starting of their careers in hair and beauty industry, so important. I'm incredibly proud of the work they do. As we often say in this house, university is not for everyone, and so it is essential that many businesses, such as theirs, have apprenticeships to offer. We need to ensure that our high streets are offering things we cannot get online. High streets also provide a social hub. Coffee shops and other such venues often provide a place to go for individuals who may live alone or feel isolated. Being around others and having a venue to meet with a friend can go a long way to tackling that endemic of loneliness we are coming to see. I have been proud to speak in this House multiple times on the need to do more to tackle loneliness and isolation, and I believe high streets are essential in doing so. Having accommodation in town itself is also a further way in which our high streets will be busier. But towns will not draw individuals in without having a variety of businesses we have come more used to having. To seeing empty storefronts along our high streets is very poor. So I'm delighted that the government's Levelling Up and Regeneration Act allows local authorities to instigate high street rental auctions on properties that have been vacant for more than 1 year. It'll be up to local authorities whether they take up these powers, and I very much hope this is done in Broxtowe to ensure that all of our high streets are as attractive as they can be to both locals and visitors to our area. I would add that I'm very keen to see more high street businesses taken on by younger generations. Broxtowe has a huge amount of young entrepreneurship, and I'm keen to encourage younger people to take on the new challenge of opening high street businesses and bring a fresh perspective to our high streets. Perhaps this is something the government could look at following this debate. The bill proposed by the Honourable Member for Stoke-on-Trent South is vital, as it sets out that requirement that we cannot let our high streets fall into disarray. Ensuring local authorities do not just have to review a high street every 5 years, but then actively lay out an improvement plan to put the emphasis on local authorities to ensure that our high streets are fit for their local communities. Although not specifically on our high streets, a large contributing factor, I believe, to the amount of footfall is car parking. Individuals can be hugely put off from visiting towns in which they cannot park, or it costs an extortionate amount of money to do so. In Broxtowe, we have had huge issues with parking, and I would implore our local council to do more to tackle this problem, as it has a huge impact on shops, business owners and local residents. It is essential we have a car parking strategy in our town centres and ensure that throughout busy times of the day we have available and affordable parking for all. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for Stoke-on-Trent for bringing this debate to the House today so I could speak to it. High streets are in decline, and once we lose many of the facilities from those, it will not return. So I'm very pleased to see this bill introduced, so we may take action now to save our high streets and ensure they return to the buzzing social hubs that we see up and down the country, including in my constituency of Broxtowe.
The Honourable Member for Broxtowe gave a very important perspective as well, because he talked about how the withdrawal of banks from many communities has had a real impact, and I congratulate him on the success he has had in bringing some of that facility back.
We've also heard about the Towns Fund in Broxtowe, which has given £21.1 million to Stapleford.
I also want to thank the Honourable Member, my friend from Broxtowe, for his support, and particularly he referred to the importance of our high streets as social and service hubs, which I think is absolutely right.